Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Getting a little mic check before we get started. We got a mic check. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. Press pause and then run it back and see if we're good.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Did James Harden throw his teammates under the bus just so he can get what he wanted? Did he have to take it that far in a situation that just involved himself and management just to get what he wanted? James Harden wanted Dwight Howard, and he got Dwight Howard, and they got bounced out of the Western Conference Finals by the Warriors in 5 games back in 2014. And then he didn't want Dwight Howard. Then he wanted Chris Paul, and they gave up a bunch for him to get Chris Paul. And then he didn't want Chris Paul, so they got rid of Chris Paul. And then they got rid of Clint Capella because they thought that small ball would beat Anthony Davis and LeBron James and Dwight Howard. Then he wanted Russell Westbrook, and they got Russell Westbrook. And then the two of them thought, hey, we still cool. You still mess with me, I still mess with you. We cool, we buddies, we grew up together, but we can't win together. So Russell Westbrook left. And the common denominator in all this is James Harden. Because they did everything for him. They gave him everything he ever wanted that they could give, and they gave up a lot for those pieces. And I'm not taking the side of management because I've seen how management can act, with an example being the Isaiah Thomas situation. Man that just lost his sister and played, the next day or same day or whatever it was. And it was his choice. He could have not played that game. I wouldn't have played. Basketball would have been the last thing on my mind. But my point is, he did a lot for Boston. Went out there. He was a top MVP candidate. They made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, they were not going to beat LeBron. And he was going to get a $200 million contract. And they just let him go for Kyrie. But I think it was something, the case of they hurt his stock by talking about that hip injury. So I've seen how management can act. That's why I never blame KD for leaving OKC, because I'll never favor management, because I know how they act. I know how they can be. But in the case of James Harden, Houston did everything they could for him. They made it to the Western Conference Finals in 2018, in which they had the best record, 65 wins over the Warriors. Took them to a Game 7, and then they collapsed down the stretch, missing 27 straight threes. Granted, no CP3. Okay. So we all look back and say, man, well, if Houston had CP3, then it would have been a different story. Warriors had their players. They had KD, they had Clay, they had Steph, they had Draymond, but the Rockets didn't have CP3. Fast forward the following year, second round, the Western Conference semifinals, Kevin Durant gets hurt. And so it's James Harden and it's CP3, and there's no KD for Golden State. And what happens? They lose. Whose fault is that? We gave you the benefit of the doubt, saying had you had CP3, things probably could have been different. We didn't hold it against you, but then a year later, you lose, and they didn't have KD, who was clearly the best player on that team. And that's not to take anything from Golden State, because of course they were winning before KD got there. But the point is, the Rockets were always the team who gave the Warriors the most trouble when the Warriors were the Warriors, the elite team of the NBA, the team. It was the Rockets. It was also, in a way, Portland and probably a little bit Utah. And then Portland got swept by them in the following round when it was Clay and Steph versus CJ and Dame. James Harden is not net. He's with Brooklyn. He's where he wanted to be. I'm not knocking it. He's there, whatever. I root for the Lakers. They got LeBron and AD. So I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying I don't appreciate him throwing his friends. Well, I can't even really say those guys are his friends, but his teammates. There still should be a brotherhood regardless of if you're not close friends. You're not going to be friends with everybody, but you can't do what he did just to get to where you want to be. I would never throw my friends under the bus just because I'm unhappy with our bosses or our boss or whatever. Or teammates. I keep saying friends. I don't know. They're probably not friends like that. But he did that. Yeah, he got to where he wanted to be, but what did he have to give up to get there? I just find a problem with that. I think that that just don't sit well with me. And I'm looking at it, and yeah, people are talking about him throwing them under the bus, saying, "Oh, well, we're just not good." And I do like John Wall's statement. That was something I don't know if we would have seen from the John Wall that was coming up in Washington. He's so much more mature than what he was now, and so is DeMarcus Cousins. But I love their response. I love how they, talked about having to come together as a unit, because what James Harden did to them, it was uncalled for. Brother to brother, brotherhood to brotherhood. That was uncalled for. You can't do that to those guys. Those guys didn't do anything to you. It's not like you were in a LeBron situation to where you just didn't have the right pieces. You had the pieces. And I don't hear people talking about it, but I always say this. I don't care how people take it, how they feel about it. If LeBron had done what James Harden did, oh my goodness, he would be impeached from the NBA. Like, they would crucify this man to the extreme. I mean, you saw how they reacted when he had that tweet or something, or Instagram post about Kevin Love, when Kevin Love was talking about not fitting in, and LeBron responded by saying, instead of trying to fit in, you should fit out. A lot of people said, oh, he threw him under the bus, he blah, blah, blah. They were mad, they criticized LeBron for that. So can you imagine if he'd done what Harden had did? And the difference is LeBron played out his contract in Cleveland. It wasn't working. He went on and he delivered in Miami. He came back to Cleveland and delivered. And in LA, when people thought he was coming out to be Michael B. Jordan instead of Michael Jordan, he delivered a championship in LA when people were like, oh, he's just out here for Hollywood and to act. But he won a title regardless of how he did it. In the bubble, you can criticize it all you want, but he did it, because you're always going to find something to say regardless. If he can't win. I made my mind up with LeBron with when it comes to LeBron critics, and I'm not a LeBron apologist regardless of what anybody may think, but LeBron can't win. But he would have been crucified for this, despite the fact James Harden has never delivered a title. He's never been to an NBA Finals game. And yet he was able to say that, and people are talking about it, but I'm just like, man, can you imagine if this were LeBron? I'm just saying. I just had to rant about that. But he's in Brooklyn. Houston got some draft picks back. A lot of what they not a lot, but some of what they had to give up just to get CP3 there and Russell Westbrook there. Now they can finally start to build their future. But Harden is in Brooklyn with KD and I guess Kyrie. Who knows how that situation is going to play out. Are they favorites? On paper, maybe, yeah, but they still got to play the games. Last year the Clippers were favorites, but the Clippers found out that they still had to go out there on the court and play basketball. And they collapsed. LeBron collapsed his first year in Miami. He made it, but he didn't win it all. So I'm not going to sit up here and crown the Nets as champions, because we don't know what's about to happen. With Kyrie being as unpredictable as he is. We don't know if he wants to be that third wheel. I do think that when it all comes down to it, Kyrie Irving is the third wheel, just like Chris Bosh was, even though Chris Bosh wasn't as box office as Kyrie, and just like Kevin Love was with LeBron. He's the third wheel, and with him being as unpredictable as he is, can he accept that role? How much influence does KD really have on Kyrie Irving to be able to sit him down and talk to him, and the way that Wade and LeBron was able to do. Wade told LeBron, you have to be the man if this thing is going to work. It didn't work the first year, but it worked the next 2 years. LeBron James creates instant chemistry. People always talk about the drama that surrounds LeBron, but it's never like this. It wasn't like what was in Houston. Houston was bad. LeBron played out his contract in Cleveland, and he came back and delivered. Well, I do look at this as a situation like, man, it's probably never going to happen, but James Harden owes Houston one. He owes the Rockets fan base at least, because they gave you everything they could. You had an opportunity. You had opportunities. There was no KD in 2019. You had the best record home court advantage in 2018. You went to the conference finals before we knew what the Warriors were going to be in 2014 or 2015, the 2014-2015 season, whatever, y'all get it. But now, here we are. In Brooklyn, they got to win it now. And boy, I feel so bad. Giannis Antetokounmpo, wow. I forgot about Giannis, man. I haven't seen what he said. I know I saw a clip on YouTube. They asked him about Harden. I haven't seen it, but He probably didn't express it in that clip, but man, I know behind closed doors, he's like, damn. And I assume, and I'm saying this assuming if these guys, aspirations are to really win a championship. A lot of them are just there to get money and whatever. Who cares? I mean, I would want to win, but I would still want to make money because it could sustain me, of course. But if this works out, I don't see Giannis and them coming out at all. I mean, I didn't see it before the trade. I still thought it would be KD and Kyrie, but then this whole Kyrie thing happened, and I thought maybe Giannis and them have a chance. Who knows? But poor Giannis, there's no pressure on the Lakers. All the Lakers have to do is make it and just win 4 games when they make it, or if they make it. The only pressure that's on the Clippers is to get out of the West, make it to the Western Conference Finals and to get out. But that's my rant on that. That's how I feel on that. My thoughts, my feelings. I don't like how James Harden threw his teammates under the bus, and if this were the other James, LeBron James, he would be crucified for it. That's just how I feel. I don't care how anyone takes it. Comment what you want, but that's just the truth. He didn't deliver anything in Houston, and he get to go out and make demands when they gave him everything they could. And he throw these guys under the bus, and the new coach he basically throws under the bus. The brother did nothing to him. Why you gotta make the brother job so difficult like that? New coach trying to find his way, and that's how you want to treat him. That's messed up, man. That's just how I feel. But anyway, let's get into some more NFL stuff. Let's see. Last week we did our wild card round, and I was able to get every game except one. Well, not every game then. I got all but one game right, so I went 5-1 in Pick'em. The only game I got wrong was the finale of Super Wildcard Weekend, which was Browns versus Steelers. That just caught me off guard right there, and so did it a lot of other people. So now we're going to get into our divisional round picks, and this time I'm actually going to talk. Last week I posted a video of predicting who I thought was going to win and the score. I just didn't have time to talk about it, so I just put together a little slide package or whatever, and yeah, I went 5-1 in those picks, and now it is time to get into the divisional round and see who is going to be moving to the conference championship games. We're going to start with Rams versus Packers. We will have Jared Goff versus Aaron Rodgers. This will be Goff's second time going up against Aaron Rodgers. First time in the playoffs. You remember the meeting in 2018, the year the Rams made it to the Super Bowl. Goff beat Rodgers early in the season, 29-27. And that game was at the Coliseum early in the season. It was early in the season, so it was sunny out. Comfortable for the Rams, comfortable for the Packers too, but the Rams were able to escape with the win, and Rodgers, who was 4-1 all time versus the Rams, and that was his only loss against Jared Goff, have home field advantage. And this is probably the first time. Is it the first time since 2011? No, I think probably the first time since 2011 they've had home field advantage, and they lost to the Giants in the divisional round of those playoffs in Lambeau, 38-20. Packers favorites. This was my dark horse Super Bowl team early in the season. Of course, I shamelessly picked the Cowboys to win it all, but I said it could be the Packers. The Packers are the dark horse team, and they've looked really good. Rodgers, I believe, will win MVP. Last week, the Seahawks defeated the Rams defeated the Seahawks, and they really put a licking on, Seattle, and I'm just really happy they did so, because I think I thought they were so overrated, and they proved me right. So I'm glad the Rams won that game. Seattle won the division, but the Rams beat them in the playoffs, and they did that also in 2004, the Rams did. They came in second in the division. Seattle won it, but they beat the Seahawks in the wild card round. But in this game right here, I just feel like this game is going to be close, and I was really leaning toward an LA upset, but I don't know how Jared Goff's thumb can hold up in a freezing cold Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And the Packers played really good in the snow. They're in their elements. They're comfortable. They're where they want to be, and they are where the Rams don't want to be. So I'm going to take the Packers to win this game. I'm going to give it a final score. It'll be closer than you think. This is it'll be closer than you think game. I'll take Green Bay to win this game. I'm going to say 24-16. That's my final score. Green Bay 24-16 over the Rams. Up next, we got Ravens versus Bills. Last week, both these teams knocked off the AFC South playoff teams to advance to this round. Ravens defeated the Titans. Bills defeated the Colts. Lamar looked really good in that Titans game after going down 10-0. He had that one really bad pass that resulted in an interception. But after going down 10-0, they went on to outscore Tennessee 20-3 and ended up winning that game. Lamar was running all over. The Ravens defense shut down Derrick Henry. I love that game. I love that game because I think Tennessee and Baltimore is a real rivalry. You know, the stomping on the logo and everything. Those two teams just, hopefully for years to come, they can be that rivalry, just a real nasty game. But, hopefully no one gets really hurt. But anyway, that was a really fun game. Bills defeated the Colts. Josh Allen looked really good. Stephon Diggs looked really good. This is a tough one, but I do like the Ravens. I like the Ravens in this game because I just think they're on a revenge tour. I think they are on a real tour to get revenge because they flew under the radar in the regular season, which is where people should not have wanted them because that's what made them the most dangerous, just like their Super Bowl year in 2012, under the radar. And they came out and beat down Peyton, Brady, and Kaepernick and the Niners in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I like Baltimore in this game. All-time Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen has faced off against each other once. They were both in the 2018 draft. And Lamar Jackson did win, the meeting last year, defeated the Bills 24-17. Lamar had 3 touchdowns and just 1 interception in that game. Josh Allen had 146 yards and a touchdown. And Josh Allen did play the Ravens in his rookie year, which he got beat down really bad. But Joe Flacco was quarterbacking at the time because, as you remember, Lamar didn't come in until later in the season when Flacco started to really just, play really bad. I was looking for another word, but that's the word that came to mind. And the Ravens won that game 47-3. Josh Allen was, like I said, a rookie. He was terrible, just 74 yards. And the Bills were just not a real good team that year after making it to the playoffs the year prior. But they are coming into this game, first time ever in the playoffs meeting. And like I said, I like the Ravens in this game. I think they're on a revenge tour. I like the Bills, good team. But somebody has to lose. Somebody has to lose, and I think it will be Buffalo. I'm going to take the Ravens to win this game in the snow, and I'm going to take Baltimore to win 27-17. I'm taking Baltimore 27-17. I think the defense is going to really get at Allen. Even though it's the snow and Lamar is concerned, the Bills have just a hard time stopping the run. So I'm taking the Ravens to win this game. Bet Baltimore. Chiefs versus Browns. This is our next AFC Divisional Round matchup, and the 4 quarterbacks in the AFC Divisional Round all first started in 2018. Baker Mayfield from the Browns is the oldest quarterback of all 4 of the quarterbacks. I believe he's like 25 years of age. The only difference is Pat Mahomes was drafted in 2018. Pat Mahomes was drafted in 2017. Baker was drafted in 2018. Lamar and Allen were also drafted in 2018, but Pat Mahomes didn't start until 2018. And so you can just see the changing of the guard is the guard has been changed. It's right there. These are the young quarterbacks. I don't know how long Deshaun Watson will be in the AFC, but he's also part of that mix. Yeah, we got Chiefs versus Browns. Career against each other. Browns, Baker Mayfield and Pat Mahomes. Mahomes is 1-0. They only met once, and that was Pat Mahomes' MVP season. The Chiefs won that game back in 2018, 37-21. Mahomes had 375 yards, 3 touchdowns. Baker threw for 297 and 2 touchdowns. Cleveland had a good game last week. They blitzed the Steelers. It looked as if the Steelers were going to get back in it, but they just couldn't get that key stop. I still felt like Mike Tomlin should have went for it on 4th down late in that game, but he did it. That's not what ultimately cost them, but it did cost them. And the Browns beat the Steelers in the playoffs, and they picked up right where they left off because, back in 2002, which was the last time Cleveland made the playoffs, they played the Steelers 3 times that year. Of course, divisional opponents, and Pittsburgh beat them 23-20, and week 4 they played a month later, and Pittsburgh beat them 19-16. Then they met in the playoffs. Pittsburgh outscored them like 24-9 in the second and late in the third to the fourth quarter. Ended up winning 36-33. So combined 3 meetings, Pittsburgh went 3-0 and won by 9 combined points. 18 years later, a 7-year-old Baker Mayfield led the Browns back to the playoffs for the first time. Well, he was 7 at the time of the playoff game. You guys know what I'm trying to say. He was 7 at the time, led them back to the playoffs for the first time, and it was the rematch of rematches, and Cleveland was able to get some revenge. And now they're here playing Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes off a bye week, and you do not want to be playing Andy Reid off a bye week. I don't like Cleveland in this game. Of course, I like the Chiefs. The Chiefs really struggled, even though they were winning, because they are the Chiefs. They have Pat Mahomes and all those weapons on offense, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and them dudes. But I think the Chiefs, they needed that bye week to fix some things, and they got it. And I think it's trouble for the Browns. The Browns had their fun in the sun, but I think that offense is going to probably be just too much to handle for Cleveland. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game. I'm going to go 38-20. I'm going to go 38-20 Chiefs. I don't think Cleveland is going to be able to stop Chiefs offense, but I also think Baker Mayfield is going to have an off game because the KC defense will probably come out and just throw some stuff at him that he don't expect. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game and advance to the AFC Championship to play the Ravens. So yeah, got KC in this game. And last but not least, to cap us off, Sunday Night Football, we got the Bucks versus the Saints round 3. Back in 2017, for the first time in the NFC South history, you had 2 teams meet in the playoffs. It was Panthers versus Saints, and the Saints were the home team, and they had beaten Carolina twice in the regular season. They beat them twice in the regular season. The 2 met in the playoffs. Carolina had a really good chance to win that game, but Cam took a sack at the end, and I'm just like, why would you just throw the ball up? Why you can't take a sack on the last play of the game? But anyway, that was 3 years ago. Why am I still there? I'm just still mad about that. That was the last time my team made it to the playoffs. Anyway, you understand my frustration. So yeah, and it's happening again. 3 years later, the Bucks versus the Saints for the 3rd time this season. Brady versus Breeze. And the Saints, they did beat Tampa Bay twice in the regular season. Actually, week 1, they beat them down pretty bad. And later in the season, I forgot which week it was, they just stumped them out. What was it, 38-3? It was terrible. It was terrible. And the Saints have a chance to do what they did 3 years ago again to an NFC South opponent, to beat them 3 times in 1 year. Breeze is 5-2 versus Brady all time, including 2-0 this year. These 2 quarterbacks faced off twice when Breeze was with the Chargers, and of course Brady was with the Patriots, and Breeze won both those meetings when he was a San Diego Charger. And they played 3 times with Brady as the with Brady with the Patriots and Drew Brees, with the Saints. This was back in 2009, 2013, and 2017. And Brady went 2-1 in those matchups. I think is my math correct on that? Yeah, my math is correct on that. Anyway, so this year Brady is 1-5 versus playoff teams. His only win was against the Packers. He got past Washington, who has a really good defense. I know record-wise they're not that good, but Brady has had a hard time against good football teams with good defenses this year. Like say he beat the Packers, but the Packers don't have the defense that the Saints have. They don't have the defense that the Bears have and the Rams. But Brady did pick on the little guys. He picked on Detroit, picked on Atlanta, picked on my Panthers twice. And it's funny because both losses to the Saints followed up with a win over the Panthers for the Bucks. Week 1 and later in the season when they played the Saints the second time, it followed up with them playing the Panthers. And Brady got 40 touchdowns, but of course you can't call him an MVP candidate because he's 1-5 against the good teams, against the teams that made it to the playoffs. Just 1 win. So 40 touchdowns, and they turned it on late. But and let me finish this. He really struggled against good teams this year, and he's looked good against bad teams. So is this game right here It's an interesting one because this is the Bucks have really come on strong late in the season. You know, regardless, I can criticize who they beat, but regardless, you still give Tom Brady the benefit of the doubt because he's Tom Brady and he's more than proven. He has proven himself time after time after time after time. I mean, he's 43 and he's still playing quarterback. What more proof do you need? I have a hard time believing that a 43-year-old who's never won a Super Bowl, never really, you know, made it to the mountaintop would be in the league. I think that guy would be gone right now if it were any other person. But Tom is here because he can still play. But to the playoff game, Saints versus Bucks round 3, Brady versus Breeze round 3 of the season. I just can't bet against Brady in this game because they've come on strong. They found some chemistry. They figured out the balance of the offense. AB is involved, and we know how fast and good he is. Mike Evans, Godwin, it's just like, wow. But the Saints defense is really, really destructive. This is the most talented roster, I think, no doubt, in NFL. The thing that will hold back the Saints in this game is Drew Brees. I'm picking the Bucks to win this game because I don't believe in Drew Brees. Drew Brees, like I said, he beat the Panthers in 2017 and they put up 31 points in that game. But a week after that, you know, granted, they were in Minnesota. They lost that game off the Minnesota Miracle 29-24, if I'm not mistaken. Scored just 24. The very next year, they escaped the Eagles. They escaped the Eagles like 14-10. And regardless of what happened in the NFC Championship game, it still doesn't change the fact that in that game against the Rams, they had the ball first in overtime. And who threw the duck interception? Drew Brees. Last year against Minnesota, they settled when they usually don't settle in the dome. And they lost that game 26-20. Ever since that 2018 Monday night game against Carolina, Drew Brees has really not been the same guy. Just like I can go back to 2014 to point to where I felt Peyton Manning was declining. But just like Peyton Manning in 2015 when he won the Super Bowl, Drew Brees has a defense that can potentially carry them, but I just don't see it happening. I don't see him beating Brady 3 times in one season. Not Tom Brady. I can't. Skip Bayless say some outrageous things on Undisputed, but I do agree. I am a Brady fan. And I do agree with him when he say the one man I wouldn't bet against in sports is Tom Brady. Go back to the Super Bowl against the Seahawks in the fourth quarter. 28-3 down against the Falcons. Yes, the defense played a major part, but the offense still had to execute, and they did. They did win the Super Bowl against the Rams 13-3, but you can't have just anybody back there in a close game like that and expect to win. Brady still had to orchestrate the drives to drive them down the field to put Sony Michel in the end zone. He still had to be able to make the right decisions to protect the football down the stretch in a close game. I like the Bucks in this game because I don't believe in Drew Brees. I'll bet against Drew Brees. Brees got all the numbers, all the big numbers and everything, but he don't got the rings. He don't have the resume of Tom Brady. But that defense is good. I feel like I'm still on the fence, but no, I'm not. I am picking the Buccaneers to win this game, and the final score of this game will be 34-27 Buccaneers. It'll be close, but Drew Brees at the end will be the reason the New Orleans Saints does not make it to the NFC Championship. I got the Buccaneers winning this game. I appreciate you guys for hearing me out on my picks. I had to rant about the NBA situation with James Harden. Had to give you some divisional round predictions. You guys should really bet on my predictions because I know what I be talking about. You know, you can call me cocky. I just call it confidence. I know what I be talking about. I know how these games are going to turn out. And I bet you I go a perfect 4-0 this weekend. And not only am I going to go 4-0, but I'm also going to be 100% accurate with the scores that I've predicted. If I'm not 100% accurate, I'll be around the ballpark, just like I was last week. Go check out my video from last week and be sure to continue to stay tuned to hear me out. Be sure to leave a message. Be sure to like, dislike, share, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, I will still be doing the mystery box giveaway to a random subscriber. So you don't want to miss out on that because it's going to be mysteriously good. You're going to love it. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Take care. Enjoy football. Enjoy basketball. I don't know when baseball's starting, probably next month or the month after, but enjoy that too. Enjoy hockey. Enjoy it all. Just enjoy life. Be good. Be safe. Stay true. Be you. Less stress. More love. Goodbye.